you're not here, you missing out. Cause this show.
Hi, I'm the international Swiss sensation Michelle here. And if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling.
Welcome to Women on Wednesday. Ooh. Today, well, you can see her over here. You see who we have? You may not know her, but we have Michelle Green. She is an international superstar. She is the international Swiss super sensation. She has been in a few places in America. If you've been watching, popping up, having matches with people. We want to talk to her about it. So, welcome to the show today, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Trey.
Thank you for coming on. Um, so before we get started, the first question that we always ask just to find out is why do you love wrestling or what started your love for wrestling?
Yes. I started knowing about wrestling when a long time ago I used to watch Bachelor and wrestling used to be on afterwards. So that's when I knew about it. But I fell in love with wrestling when I read about Cesaro winning the US championship, actually. And then I just watched it over a weekend and dove into it. So this was circa 2015. And it was also the time that the women's evolution at WWE was happening. And I would work out at home and watch wrestling, and it would just get me really motivated to see these Amazon warrior queens fighting. And yeah, that's how it all started.
So you brought up a name I was going to ask about it because you're a Swiss sensation, Cesaro. You
Mhm.
started watching. Would he be like one of your favorite people to watch?
Um, I He's more like a person that inspired me, but there's other wrestlers that I focus more on. I really like Charlotte Flair. I like The Miz, Seth Rollins, MJF, Jericho. Those are, I think, my top five that I love watching a lot, as well as Thunder Rosa, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a Miz guy, so I have to ask you, what's one of your favorite Miz moments?
Mm. I used to love him and Damien Sandow together.
Okay.
Also, and really just even when I was in Knoxville recently, we got tickets to go to Monday Night Raw. And just when he comes out and he's like, um, I'm a wrestler, but I'm also a fan, of course, because
Right.
you gotta love what you do, and I definitely do. And he's just when the camera goes on, he shines.
So you started watching wrestling 2015. You get into it. You also
Mhm.
said a name. You said Thunder Rosa is one of your inspirations. She's one of the people who trained you, right? Helped train you.
Yes. So I started training in Switzerland about 3 years ago because a friend really pushed me. It was on New Year's Eve, and we have this type of fortune cookie prophecies, and she made them. And mine was Kat is finally gonna go to wrestling training because I just moved to Zurich in Switzerland, which is actually where I'm calling from right now. And that's where there is a wrestling school because before where I was living, there truly wasn't. And so I went to the first class, and then I just fell in love with it. And then it's been skyrocketing ever since with the passion that I have for wrestling. And I did a different bunch of stations before ending up in Texas. So I also trained in Germany with WXW. And I spent 3 months training in Mexico because when I decided to pursue wrestling full time, the US wasn't available or accessible from Switzerland. And I knew a bunch of luchadors. I had been to Mexico before, and it's great to come to a nation where wrestling is their top three sports, whereas here it's not even the top 500, you know. And really fantastic fans. And I had a friend there who knew Thunder Rosa, and he said that she was training in Texas and that she had a group of women that she was training together with Jazz and Rodney Mack at the Dog Pound Dojo. And so I ended up making my way up there and training with them. And as as always, it's very special to find like a group of women that can train together because there's unfortunately not as many in comparison to men. So it's usually like wherever you go, there's like one female in a class, maybe two, and there's still a lot of waves or like ways to be paved. And Thunder Rosa is definitely at the forefront with Mission Pro. I would help out backstage, and it's just, yeah, very inspiring to see um, people pioneering and making wrestling a better place, because that's also what I aspire to do. Then just to grow as a performer, but also to grow the industry, to make it bigger, to make it better. So yes, those are things that are near and dear to my heart.
Okay. So I was looking online, and you let me know if this is true or not. They said
Mhm.
your career goal was to make a living as a wrestler, so that
Yes.
your permanent job is just to be wrestling out. That's a
Hmm.
big love right there. Um,
Yes.
and you just said you're in Zurich, Switzerland right now.
Hmm.
Um, do you come back and forth from Switzerland to America? How does that work?
So I quit my job as a marketing manager in Switzerland in December of 2020. And since then, I have been just traveling and educating myself in wrestling. I'm currently home for weddings of two close friends of mine, because what I find when you watch interviews with wrestlers that have a lot of experience is that they say that they have missed a lot of important life moments of their loved ones. So I'm trying to balance those different parts of my life. Yeah. And right now, I'm going to be here in May and June, and I hope to return to train some more in the US in summer.
Okay. So December 2020, you said you quit your job there.
Yes.
That takes a lot to quit a job and just go after your passion. How did that moment feel for you?
Oof, it was definitely not easy. It was like something that was building up inside of me, and I just felt like with the pandemic, it made like life seem much shorter. So that I thought, well, like if life is short, then I want to do what I want, and I decided to invest my savings into going after my passion, because this is not like doing a pilgrimage. Like you can't do it later; you have to do it now, right? And or it's not like maybe painting or some other things that aren't as like time sensitive. And yeah, I found myself always torn between work and wrestling, and I felt like I wasn't doing either justice. So then I decided for what at the time I like better, and I have a degree in business economics, a master's degree actually, and I worked in marketing. So I do try, obviously, to put that in use, and I care a lot about the part of professional wrestler. So I always try to be the best business associate for any promotions possible too.
Now, I just want, because I know you speak five languages and
Yes.
you had a degree and everything. What was the job that you had?
I was working as a marketing manager for like the biggest supermarket chain that we have in Switzerland, and I was in charge of dried meats. So like beef jerky was one of the main categories that I was in charge of, and salami, and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Just that you was the manager of
I've
the.
always actually worked in food. I have like 5 years that I worked in marketing for food. Beef jerky, coffee, potato chips. Yeah, and now I've been 3 years on a meal plan, because in this case, food is fuel. And yeah, the 30 cookbooks that I have not been put to use as much for the typical broccoli, chicken, and rice and this type of deal. So,
I just like that's one of the biggest things to me, that you quit that job to go after your passion for wrestling, and that right that stands out to me more than anything else, because a lot of people wouldn't take that leap of faith that you did, but you have confidence in yourself to say, hey, I'm putting everything on me. I'm going to go with this, and you use your life savings to start making some of your dreams happen. And you made it to Texas to train at the Dog Pound Dojo. We're talking about Thunder Rosa, so I got to bring in Maddie's here. I got to bring in Maddie. She's a Thunder Rosa mark. That I said that she's gonna be like, oh my God, Thunder. So Maddie, top rope squishy, thank you for joining us. I've been here, we've been talking, you know.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm sorry that I'm late. As you know, having been a marketing manager, I'm in marketing myself. It is a nightmare. So
Yeah, especially then, like on right before the weekend can be tricky.
yes, because everybody's trying to get everything done. They think you're magic workers. So before I jump into the whole Thunder Rosa thing, because I definitely had that as one of my questions, I am a Thunder Rosa mark. It's so interesting to me that you went from being a marketing manager and doing all this stuff to jumping into wrestling. How scary was that? Or was that like an overnight decision? Was this something that you were thinking about for a long time? I mean,
I think once I went to Mexico for like a week in November 2020, I was already when I was at the airport, I was telling my parents like I'm gonna be back and I'm gonna be back for longer. And my mom at the time was like, "Don't quit your day job." And I was like, "Oh, we'll see about that." And so I spent like a month thinking about it very thoroughly and looking into it. And first, like the commitment that I made to myself is that I was gonna go for 3 months to Mexico because it just felt like a time horizon that could be manageable.
right.
And then once I was like close to making the decision, I was like, let's say 85, 90%. I told like my parents and my closest friends. So like maybe less than 10 people told them, okay, last chance. If you want to stop me, this is your last chance. And yes, a bunch of them called me, but didn't change my mind because I think you have to bet on yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then why shouldn't anybody else? And if you want 100% of the return on invest, you have to be willing to go all in. And I'm also very aware that I'm super privileged that I have these savings and have grown up in the atmosphere that I've grown up to be able to chase this dream. But nonetheless, it does take a lot of guts to go for it.
Absolutely. And I probably missed the beginning of, I'm sure Trey asked you, how did you find out that you wanted to be a wrestler? Like, is this something that you always wanted to do? Or is this?
No, I got into it. I've been training for 3 years now. But once I started, it went just exponentially up and more and more and more. I had the injury at the beginning, and throughout it, I always went to practice. I worked on my character a lot, so I got a lot of reps on that. And yeah, just has been mounting all to this. And then throughout when I was training, I always knew like it's just getting to the first match. Just
Right.
gotta get there. And then once I got my when I was in Mexico, I got my golden wrestling boots, and I would put them like every morning that I would wake up, and I could see them from my bed, and I was like, "Okay, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna lace you up." And then it just yeah, I was just waiting to get ready for that first match. And I ended up moving to Knoxville, Tennessee to train with Dr. Tom Pritchard too, because I felt like throughout my training, I'd never formally been taught the foundation in wrestling, and that I needed that maybe that was missing to like glue everything together, so to say. And it was. And so now I'm at about 30 matches. So I've been doing like 2 to 3 shows when I'm in the US per week.
Wow.
And yeah, I can definitely tell that it's yeah,
Progressive.
I obviously I'm progressing and improving, and I strive to be the best wrestler that I can be.
That's excellent.
So
That's excellent. And you speak 5 languages. I know he asked you, but I have to know what 5 languages.
yes, I speak Swiss German, English, Spanish, French, and I'm learning Italian because my hubby speaks Italian. He's from Rome.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah.
What do you do to learn these languages? Like, how do you go about, what programs do you use, or?
So I grew up with Swiss German and German. Then I used to sing a lot, so English was always something that I gravitated towards. I lived in Spain as a child for 4 years, so that's how I picked that up. Even though actually now, when I used to have a Spanish accent, having lived 3 months in Mexico, and then of course I have a lot of Mexican acquaintances and friends from the United States. Now I'm being told that I'm a Mexican or that I have a Mexican accent.
A little.
So it has actually evolved
I
quite a
was going
bit.
to ask, I'm like, where are you from, if you don't mind me
Yeah.
asking? Where do
So
you originate from?
from Switzerland.
From
Yes.
Switzerland. Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
We do
And
have
Italian I've been learning with Babbel. It's like an app. So I'm trying to learn
excellent.
vocab and trying to sweet talk my man.
Nothing wrong with that. Very inspiring, because I've always wanted to learn like a language. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with trying
Go
to
ahead. I'm
talk
sorry.
to men in a romantic language, like Italian, right? So now we'll get to Thunder Rosa, because I was like, oh my goodness, she's been trained by some really big people like Jazz and Thunder. So how did this come about? Like, how did you come about to work in the dojo, meeting Thunder, Jazz?
So I trained for 3 months in Mexico, but over time I felt that the style that I currently preferred the most to gravitate the most towards is the American style. And I talked to a friend of mine and he knew Thunder Rosa and he arranged a video call. And she just told me to come. And I was like, this sounds good. I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm very optimistic, sometimes maybe naive or blue-eyed, but yeah, it's just sometimes you have to have balls and try things. And so I went to Texas and joined the Dogbound Dojo. And they definitely helped me focus a lot on how to perform like towards the camera, to give me more basics about American style of wrestling. Also with Joe Galley being there from the NWA, he like about presentation of yourself, about public speaking, improvising under stress. They have definitely taught me a lot. And I went back to Texas over WrestleMania weekend now in Dallas because I wanted to rub elbows and to network and also to see the show too. And I helped backstage for both the Dogpot Dojo show and the Mission Pro, as well as 3 other shows. So it was not a lot of sleep, but a lot of lessons learned and a lot of lovely people that I've managed to meet.
And it's good, especially when you're like in the beginning of your career, meeting people is definitely something that helps your career, right? Like you meet the right people, the right doors open.
And like the over time you keep on meeting the same people that have a similar work ethic or grind as you, I would say. And so it's valuable to talk to them and learn about things that you haven't learned yet, because not everybody needs to like run into the same walls.
That's why,
possibly. So
agreed. If someone can give you advice where you don't have to make the same mistakes and you can just move past that, that's an excellent leeway to getting to your goals. So you've had over 30 matches, or about 30 matches now. What has been the biggest challenge as you've been progressing?
I think you just always continue to push yourself. And with Dr. Tom Pritchard, I have a fantastic coach, review all of my matches to see what I can improve on. And of course, you could pick apart every match. But what I really appreciate about his guidance is that he will give you like the main pointers of the things that you need to work on. Because like if you were given a list of 100 things to work on, then you'd be like,
right.
That's a bunch. And I'm sure there is 100 things. But he'll just point out in that direction, and that gives you direction to work on. And over time, as you evolve, you also get different competitors, more experienced one, different sizes and shapes. So for example, I wrestled Freya the Slayer at OVW. and she's like 1 or 2 heads taller than me. So of course I had to like rethink how could I proceed to beat her, because in the end that's the goal, and that's what propels you forwards, is those wins.
That's right. So you've been doing this for a couple of years now, and what has been your favorite part about being a wrestler?
I think what tugs at my heartstrings actually when you have like little girls come up to you and they're like, "Oh, I want to be a wrestler ever since I saw you come out." Those are like the intangibles, and yeah, that's just really the greatest feeling. And just the whole performance. I've always loved to entertain. Like I used to sing with bands. I used to be in like public speaking teams in my school. And so
In your
it's
blood.
just really coming together, and I enjoy seeing the progress. Yes.
That's excellent. You know, as you're growing, you learn all kinds of new things, and you know, and other things will probably become your favorite part about being a wrestler as you know the years come across. But I think that is very sweet to have little girls look up to you, inspirational. You know, women weren't always seen as wrestlers. They were really, you know, popcorn matches, which sucks, you know, to have been viewed that way. But we are a different breed this, you know, this time around. Like,
Yes, and I also really enjoy. You can say a lot about Twitter, and I'm always a bit like more reserved on that, but I appreciate it also as a platform amongst other wrestlers. Like I remember like 1 or 2 weeks ago, somebody like other female wrestler shared, and she's like, women don't mind wrestling males. Like that's not a reason not to have a woman wrestler on. Or they talk about like how hard it is to find other women for matches, or having promoters be like, well, do you have somebody you can bring, this type of stuff, or that there's just like one woman match on a card, when we've
right,
seen like with Mission Pro, with other all female events,
right.
that it's entertaining as hell. So like you don't have to limit yourself with numbers. Like
It's true.
so I
And
think there's
it's
still
true.
a lot of growth and evolving that can be done. And if
I
there's
agree.
anything that I can add to it, I definitely want to. So
Yeah,
yes,
I
I
agree
think
with
it's
you.
definitely a lot that's being changed for the better, I hope.
Yeah, my favorite promotion is guilty of only posting a one woman match live. So there's definitely improvements.
Which is it?
AEW.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, Thunder's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
He's the
definitely
champ.
they have to work on that. It's a complaint amongst even the fans. So
Hmm.
yeah, so we'll see. Look at Trace face.
There's many talented female wrestlers. To build up rosters, you have all different kinds of level of matches, stories portrayed in the shows. We had at OVW last week. There was a like a women-centered episode where there was, I think, 3 women's matches in 2 hours. So yeah.
It can be done, and it should be done. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So we're gonna keep shouting at Tony Khan. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Then you guys trying to
Um,
improve over there, Tony. You know, keep doing your thing.
yes. Yes. No.
I'm so
No.
excited to see Thunder Rosa against Serena Deeb too,
Yes.
because
That is gonna be wild.
they are both beasts in the ring.
Oh my God, yeah. That's pretty exciting for me. So anything Thunder Rosa involved, I'm always front and center. So who has been your toughest opponent to date, would you say?
I think I had Dream Girl Ellie in February, and it was my first, like, I think it was like my match number 10 or so. So it was the first in front of like 800 people.
Wow.
It was taped, commentated. So that was definitely a big one. And then my first match at OVW being on live TV, definitely against Ari Alexander. It was also a milestone for me because it was one of my goals for this year is to appear on national US TV. And so it's already, I mean, now we're in May, but at the time it was only in April. And I knew of other wrestlers that had gone and they had their one shot and they didn't get called back. So I was really like, I was like, don't mess this up.
Yeah. So
And they've
that's
called
excellent.
back ever since. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable and a whole different learning experience to be on live TV. And I mean, yeah, you know how it is. Like at one point, there's another program coming on. So
I get it. I understand. Yeah, and I totally understand. But I feel like from here you can only go up, you know.
yeah.
So, and you're obviously dedicated. I mean, you walked away from, you know, a job that's a career to follow a dream, and I commend you for that, because a lot of people, like Trey said, they won't, you know, out of fear of, you know, probably failure or not having, you know, that steady source of income. So that's very inspiring for people like myself.
Thank you. And like sometimes I also have friends of me write me and they say they wish they could. Like you can, but it's up to you. And if you want to, go for it. But it's also okay. Like there's all different kinds of ways that we can all add and make wrestling more fun, bigger. Like it takes all of us. It takes a village.
Right.
And you need everyone A to C. Like I always make an effort to talk to everybody once I get to a venue, because like if there's nobody selling concessions, maybe some of the audience are going to be like, yeah, I remember that show was a good show, but I was starving as hell. I ain't going back there. So like just think about those things. Or like when like I've been to a wrestling show and they ran out of water like very soon into the show, and it was a long show.
What? Yeah, that's not good.
And like I'm not sure, like I'm on a very strict diet for all of this, but also I just like when I'm thirsty I want water. You know?
I mean, how do you run
and
out
there
of
wasn't.
water?
I'm like, well, okay, there's some things to be improved on. Like it takes
That's a
everything.
basic necessity, water.
Yeah, so like
Lord.
it takes all volunteers. Like there's so many moving parts in wrestling. Like I also like when I'm also like always reading on social media. I've been following you guys for like I think over half a year or over a year too, and I really enjoy like people like putting together clips and putting the time in, because there's such a huge wrestling world out of there. So how cool is it to share like some things that you like that you might not otherwise see? And like I've seen people create interesting combinations or technical things in ring that I've seen like on social media. I was like, I'm gonna try that, and then sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't fit to you. And then you might, that also helps you evolve. So there's so many fun different ways to get interested.
That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get into the wrestling interviews until Trey reached out to me. I'm always so grateful to him for giving me an opportunity. But there are so many aspects of it. You have the advertisement side, you have this podcasting, interviewing wrestlers, getting their name out there. You know, there is marketing that, you know, people do for those. You're right. It does take a complete village. So I agree. And this is my last question for you. And it's because I really love your gear. How did you pick out your wrestling gear? Like, how did that come about?
So at first I had, I kind of had like the boots set that they needed to be gold. I gravitate towards gold and shiny things. I might not be like super girly otherwise. Like I've always done like more like soccer, or like I done judo when I was a kid, so more like combat-y kind of things. And I don't think I learned how to do like proper makeup until like 22. I was just wearing hoodies, this type of deal, you know. But just shiny things, there's something about it. Sounds real corny. But since I'm Michelle Green, and my like shoot last name is also means money.
That's right.
So my first green gear was then green and gold, but the one that I currently have, which I love, is blue and gold. And no, I'm not. Like my friends tease me, like, "Oh, are you Michelle Blue now?" I'm like, "Yeah, haha." Nope, still the same girl. But yeah, I've just always really loved blue, and I went about it. I did actually like a 2-page briefing of like things I liked and cuts I liked, and then I worked together with the designer to create like a gear that suited what I wanted and my body type. And I've been ever since bedazzling. It's actually like right over there, my gear. It's
Sweet.
actually clean up, so it's like, can you see? Yeah, it's right
Yes.
there. Because I just
Yes.
recently washed it, but I want to do some more bedazzling.
Oh my God, it sounds like
And
you.
yeah, I've spent a lot of times putting some rhinestones on things, but I feel like that's also a rite of passage when you're gluing on rhinestones, and you know, yeah, this is wrestling.
Yep.
um,
Yep.
so
Rhinestones. It's a big one. It's a
yes,
big one for wrestling gear. I love it. I love your gear. So
thank you very
can't
much.
wait to see what new stuff you add to it.
Yes, I do have next one in mind. I think it's gonna be actually exclusive, red and gold.
Oh, I can't wait. That's excellent.
Yeah, I think it's a lovely combination. You could relate to red, to passion, to love, Switzerland,
Right.
to Wonder Woman, which I love also Gal Gadot in that
Yes.
Wonder Woman movie. So yes.
Yes. Well, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. I'm gonna pass it back to Trey.
All right, so Michelle Red. I mean, that's her next gear, so we're gonna cut now Michelle Green. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of these matches out here. So
Okay.
I knew who Michelle Green was. I didn't know her like that, but I knew her name.
Hmm.
And then you was having a match with Jazzy Yang.
Yeah.
And I posted an Instagram story. I don't know why I found it funny. She just said, "Oh, you speak 5 languages," and she just started speaking like she did like 2 or 3 languages and then some
Hmm.
sign language. And I was like, "Now that was hilarious." And Michelle replied back to me like, "Ha ha, whatever." Um,
Hmm.
so when you speak these 5 languages, is there any way you try to incorporate that into your matches or into the promos that you do with people?
I do usually incorporate it in some way in the promos. Of course, I want to keep it entertaining and everybody on their toes, including my opponents. During the matches, um, yeah, I definitely argue with them in all languages. um, but it also fires me up. Like, so I'll be like, one more, I'll be like, una más, and be like, "Ah, let's go." Um, we have like the our tennis ace, like the number one tennis player for a long time was Roger Federer. And whenever he would like score an important point, instead of come on, he would say "Juventus." So that's also something that I incorporate. And yeah, the match against Jazzy, I thoroughly enjoyed. It was like a crowd of 300, and they were red hot. We promoted the video in like I did 2 promos and she did one. So it was a great back and forth, and definitely hope to run it back with Jazzy too. She's very talented, and yes, can't wait to see where this journey takes the both of us.
All right. Now, I saw you had a match with Layla Gray. Was that at
Mhm.
OVW or was it
Yes,
not?
it was at OVW. We had it on live TV, and yes, it was champion. Yeah, she's
Championship
the
match.
champion there right now. Hmm.
How was that match with Miss Layla Gray, as she calls herself? Because she just appeared on something that you want to be on U.S. national TV, but
Hmm.
you were down in Louisville, and that's syndicated in the region. So, how was that for you?
Oh, yeah, I admire Layla. She's doing great strides. We've seen her on AW, we've seen her on WWE. So I was definitely happy to take on the challenge to face her in ring, and we match up very closely as well, like in our move set, in our technicality, in the size and the height. So I think it was a very even matchup, and definitely looking forward to that in the future too.
You got
She
about
also speaks Spanish, so backstage we actually usually speak Spanish together. Yeah.
all right, Michelle. We got about 3 more questions.
Mhm.
Should we go to this one yet? Now, yeah, we're gonna go here. So, Michelle, you say you started watching in 2015. So I don't know
Yes.
where this is gonna go for you. So I always ask when people
Don't
come
quiz me.
home,
Don't quiz me.
The Rock or Stone Cold.
Oh, let's say The Rock.
Look at that! Look at that, Maddie! Look at that!
She didn't even have to think too hard.
We're at
Yeah.
12-10. The Rock is coming back. People, I told you. That's 2 weeks in a row. We got The Rock out here. So boom, 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 boom,
Well,
boom.
also for me, I've seen like a bunch of his movies, and
Mm.
while I go back in time and educate myself on what has happened, I just relate to his persona more. I've just also seen more of it. So I was at WrestleMania for both nights, and for everybody who grew up with Steve Austin, that was obviously very meaningful. For me, I also really enjoyed the Cody comeback because I actually really liked him even back when he was the Stardust character. I just, it just, yeah, and it just entertained me. And I have like a bunch of friends who have some like, well, like somewhat related characters to it, and I told them too to get like gloves because you want to have merch items that are like more affordable for people because not everybody can or wants to afford a shirt or a cap. So I think it's very thoughtful to have different items. So yeah.
30 matches in, been wrestling for about 3 years. If you could wrestle 3 people, let's see, we'll do fantasy 3 people, 3 people on the independent scene. Who would those
Mm-hmm.
3 people be?
Ooh, that's a bunch of people. um, well, I'm open to anything. um, if the package works out right, I'm happy to go for any option. I personally would love to share a ring with Charlotte Flair, with Thunder Rosa, as well as with Becky Lynch.
Mm, that's a good 3 right there.
Those are 3 choices right there. Wow.
That's 3 choices right there. Now, if we take
And
a
for the
young,
independent scene, I've been meant to face Miranda Gordy twice before, so that's definitely something I would love. I used to train with Jasmine Lore and with Maddie Rankowski, so I would be very keen to share a ring with them as well.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Jasmine.
And as a bonus, of course, Cesaro. If we can ever do like Swiss connection for one night, that should be fun.
Hey, that would be tight though.
They called me the Swiss Superwoman on commentary for OVW the other night. I'm like, oh, this is we callback, guys.
Yeah, that's great right there. Now, is this the last question for our last spot? Yeah, I've been asking this to a lot of people. International Swiss sensation. Let's say if you had to pick a movie, and it's about your wrestling career. What movie would you have to describe your wrestling career?
What movie or what title?
What movie? Oh, that's a good one too. What movie, and then what would you title it? Ooh, I mean, you said it, so.
Well, it's certainly like an adventure movie because it's like I think at this point in wrestling in life, I'm at this point where I know that I shouldn't be surprised at anything, but then it's like something crazy happens, and I'm like, yeah, of course, this happened. And it's just like that's wild, but yeah. So that's definitely it's a very adventurous path that I'm on. It's also at this point just is very short planning cycles. So I mean, I know that I'm here till June and what I want to do in summer, but much broader from that, it's yeah, it's ever flowing, ever changing. And as for title, well, I do think that you have to believe in yourself and follow your passions, but I think overall my motto is more you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So that's definitely what my aim is and what I'm doing. And that's all you can do is work on yourself, be better every day, and go after those passions because, as we say in Mexico or in Spain, is la vida es una sola. There's only one life,
That's right.
and so might as well do what makes you happy. I actually saw also a Jim Carrey speech the other day about this, and he said, "There's only one life, so if you think you're going to fail regardless, you might as well fail doing something you like." Something like that. And I was
That's
like,
beautiful.
Wait, I think that's my pin tweet on, on my on my personal page. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance at doing what you love.
oh, wow, that fits really well. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
very true.
I heard that in 2016 from somebody, or I don't know if we said that in a group of friends, and I tweeted that, and I
It
love
just
it.
stuck, right? It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes.
It's
It's about
very,
making things happen.
yeah, it's inspiring.
Uh-oh. This is what we got to make Michelle big on the screen for the people. Y'all can see her now. Michelle, this is what we call the put yourself over moment. This is where you let our people know your social media, ways they can support you. You've got a t-shirt thing store. I know you're in Switzerland right now, but
Yes.
anything you got coming up when you come back to the U.S. or over in Switzerland, I see you got people overseas who watch these sometimes. We just want you to put yourself over.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I'm the international Swiss sensation Michelle Green, and I'd love to have you follow me on social media at I'm Michelle Green on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, because in life it matters about the platform we have and about the lives we affect and that we manage to change also. And the changing path that I'm on is one of a wrestler that is following her goals, that's going all in, and I'd love for you to follow me on that and support me with a follow. Um, you will always find out where I'm performing, and we're gonna have a lot of fun together in sharing our passion for wrestling.
Mhm. There it is. Do you have a t-shirt store or anything that the people
Yes,
can?
I ship worldwide, and on my social media, I have a Big Cartel store, which is michellegreen.bigcartel.com. I have signed 8x10s. I just made a dollar bill with my face on it, and so that's a very limited offer that we have right now, as well as yeah, I think those are the main ones right now.
Michelle is out here
Yes.
printing money. Oh my goodness.
That's
Uh,
cool. It's appropriate because her name is Michelle Green.
is it green
And
or is it
Michelle
blue?
Green is money.
That's right. Love that.
Michelle Green is money. Put that on a shirt. Um,
I
people
have
will like.
many shirts idea, but I haven't like pinned down yet what it's gonna be. So I know I want to have stickers and shirts eventually, but um, yeah, I have some fun shows coming up over here in Germany, and yeah, so that will be coming up. I have about I think 5, 6 shows in the next coming weeks. But I am here because my friend is getting married, so we're also having the hens night tomorrow, and then also
Sweet.
some wedding time that's gonna happen. So those are some weekends that obviously I'm not performing.
Yeah.
Yes, Michelle. I'm telling you, I knew Michelle, but just hearing her story, and she got me at the part where she said she quit her job in December of 2020 and went after her passion for wrestling. That right there got me. So I'm along with the journey. I'm watching everything going on. Michelle, you got our support here. If there's anything we can do
Thank
for
you very
you,
much.
let us know.
I'm gonna go
Um,
write my resignation right now.
Maddie, don't do that. It's, before we go, is there any last things any last questions for Michelle here?
No, but I just, I wish you the best in your success, and I'm gonna definitely follow your career and see, how your trajectory goes. I hope it just goes straight up. So
Probably, I say it's always like a 45D roller coaster. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Life is like that too. So,
we just gotta prepare to stay ready as the best we can for any opportunities and any adventures that are upcoming.
Agreed.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Michelle.
Have a fantastic afternoon.
You have a good afternoon also. And like, I'm Trey D, Maddie from Top Row Squishy. Thank you again. Thank you, Michelle Green, for joining us. And like I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's too street for the culture.
If you love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we. You're not here, you missing out. Is this show?